Hello, and welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are so excited to be introducing our stamp set, Garden Before and Afters, and its coordinating dies. So let's go ahead and check it out. This set is filled with these adorable before and after images. So here we have these cute little buds, and then our flowers that have grown in our flower bed. We have some adorable little veggies, and then here you can see they've grown in our little veggie garden. And then we have a 4-step process here. So we have an empty pot, one with a little bit of greenery growing, then we have one with a bud, and then one with this adorable sunflower or daisy that you could color. Then here we have some other little things to set the scene. So we have some seeds, a watering can. We also have the water that comes out of the watering can, and then some tiny little seeds that you can show sprinkling out of the seed packet. And we have some different little smiley faces. You can put those in those cute little veggies or in the center of that flower, which looks really adorable. And we have some rosy cheeks that you can add on either side of them. And then this set has a bunch of awesome sentiments. So it has Happy Spring, Thank You, Happy Mom's Day, Totally Rooting for You, which is one of my favorites. Then we have Hope Your Day, Blooms with Happiness. Another favorite sentiment of mine is where flowers bloom, so does hope, and I'm going to use that in a magic picture changer in just a little bit. And then we have friends are the flowers in the garden of life. And then we have these cute tiny sentiments that you could stamp around the flowers or veggies so it looks like they're saying them. It says, you can do it, go you, and good luck. So now we're going to use some Copic markers to add some color to these fun images. And these before and after images are so awesome for lots of different types of cards. They're really, really great for magic picture changer cards because you can have the flower buds and then the flowers growing, or the veggies in the veggie garden and the veggies growing, which is so much fun. They're also great for Flippin' Awesome cards too, and we're going to be showing you both of those today. So we have two awesome interactive cards in this video. Another fun way to use this before and after type style image is to do a card where you have something on the outside and then something on the inside. So I would have my flower buds on the outside with just part of my sentiment. So you would have where flowers bloom, and then on the inside you could put the flowers blooming, and then you could do the rest of the sentiment, which would be so does hope. So that's a really, really fun way to use these. That's not in an interactive way, but really makes for a really beautiful card because you have something on the outside and then something on the inside. And then of course these are just adorable images that you could use on any card front. They're also very, very cute to use with our mice because the mice look adorable planting flowers and doing all of that, and we'll be showing you some ideas with that in this video too. Now, one of my favorite things to do with these veggies is to add the smiley faces to them because you'll see when we add them how adorable it is. So there's two different styles of smiley face in this set, and so I'm going to do one style on the ones that are on the outside and then the other style in the one that's in the middle, and it just turns out absolutely adorable. And then we'll start adding some color to these images. So I like to play around with different veggies as I color these, and so we're going to color one of the veggies as a carrot, the other one as a radish, and then the third one as a turnip. And it's so much fun to have that kind of multicolored look. You could also do 3 carrots or 3 radishes, etc. But I really love the look of them all having lots of different colors. And so for that turnip, I'm going to add just those little purple markings on them, and you can see how much it just adds such cuteness to that little guy. And then for all of the different greenery, I'm just going to use different shades of green. Here, these are in the same family, just lighter and then darker. And then I'm going to bring a totally different shade here, a green instead of a yellow-green for the last one, just to have variety between all of my cute little veggies. I've been really liking this color combo of E17, E15, and E13 for both the flower beds and the pots. They're really, really easy to blend together, and I just think it looks so pretty against that bright green that I've been coloring in those little buds with. One of the things that I also really love about these flower images is that you can color the flowers in any colors that you could imagine. So you can match your pattern papers, or maybe color them like your recipient's favorite flower, or just use your favorite colors on them. So I've been having a lot of fun with that. And so here you'll see I've just got some nice bright greens that we're coloring in all of these little pieces with. And then at the end, I'm going to color this like a sunflower because that's my favorite flower. So I'm just going to add my darker yellow there and then blend it out with my medium and then my light, and then for the center we'll be doing some browns. Now on that bud there, what I did was I always like to color them in green, but then I add a little bit of the color of whatever color the flower is going to be. So I have a yellow flower, so I added a little bit of yellow to the edge of the bud, and that really makes it look like it's just about to bloom, which is so much fun. I also took a dark brown marker and added some little tiny dots into my sunflower just to get more of that sunflower look. For the watering can, I'm going to use some nice blues. I also like using grays for watering cans, but really it could be any color, whatever you would like. And here you can see just how fun and adorable these images are. I just love them. Now these are the coordinating dies which you can bend apart at the tabs or use your wire snips to separate. You can take those dies, line them up with your beautiful stamped and colored images, hold them in place with some low-tack tape, run it through the die cut machine, and here we'll have some perfectly cut out images. And here are all of the images from the set. I love this before and after concept, and we're going to be showing you some cool ways to use it in this video. And then here you can see how fun it is to use the little extra accessories like the watering can sprinkling water, or the cute little seed packet sprinkling seeds into the pot, or the little bee flying around the flowers. It's just so cute and so much fun. And first up, we're going to be creating a magic picture changer with this set. And so I'm going to start off by stamping two of the images from the set. We're going to stamp the flowers, and then we're also going to stamp the buds. And we're going to stamp those on two different pieces of cardstock. And then I'm going to add some color, and I'm adding color in the same exact way as I did at the very beginning of the video. Here you can see at the edge of each of my little buds, I'm adding the purple to correspond with the purple flowers, the blue for the blue flowers, and then yellow for the yellow flower. Now that we have the images colored in, we're going to create some ground and some sky. And I want these images to be really similar because this is going to be a magic picture changer card. So I'm taking just one plain green marker and I'm lining it up right with the edge of the lip of that cool little pot there. And then I'm going to repeat the same thing. So I'm adding just a straight line of green and I'm lining it up exactly like I did with the one with the flowers as I'm doing with the one with the buds. And so we're just going to add a bunch of green marker there. And then we're going to work on our sky. So here I'm just taking a nice light blue-green marker and I'm going to fill in the sky going up from the edge of the grass and then all the way up around the flowers and then up into the sky. And then we'll repeat the same thing for the bud. That way our background here, which is our grass, and our sky, our green marker and our blue marker, will remain the same between both images, but the only thing that's going to change is that our flowers are going to bloom. And you'll see how that works as we start to die cut it with the Magic Picture Changer die. So this is the Magic Picture Changer die, and it has two pieces. We have the larger pocket piece and then the smaller moving tab piece. The larger pocket piece is your first image. So I'm going to line that up with my buds because I want my buds to start off and then my flowers to bloom. So I've lined those up and I'm looking through that kind of square there. It's almost like a little viewfinder to see your scene. Then we're going to run it through the die cut machine and now we'll have a cute little scene. Now I'm going to take my smaller moving tab piece and then I look through the square that one has. I'm going to make it look really similar to my other one. So here you can see I'm taking a look and kind of imagining, okay, the grass was up about this high and I can just kind of eyeball it and it's going to look great. So I eyeballed it to make sure that both of those square viewfinder windows looked really similar between my two images. Now that both pieces are cut, we can start to form the Magic Picture Changer. And the die has created two score lines for us on the outside edges of this pocket piece. And so we're going to fold along both of those score lines on either side. And you'll see it's a nice thin score line, so I'm taking my time to make sure that it folds really, really well. And then we're going to crease that down. And I'll use my bone folder to make sure that those folds are creased really, really well. Now next up we're going to take out some 1/8 inch double-sided tape and we're going to be adding 4 pieces of this tape. We're going to add a piece to the inside of each of those little folded tabs and then we're going to flip it over and we're going to add a piece to the outside of each of those folded tabs. Just like that. So at the end you will have put 4 pieces of 1/8 inch double-sided tape onto the Magic Picture Changer pocket. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip it over and look at the inside and we're going to peel up that liner paper and we're going to attach those folded pieces down. And what this is creating is it's creating a little track for our piece to move in, and you'll see how that works in just a little bit. So we're peeling up that liner paper and then we're going to just press down and adhere that to the inside of the pocket, creating a track. Also a score line in the middle of the pocket piece, so we're going to fold that over and make sure that that's folded really well. Next up is a little trick to help your Magic Picture Changer work really, really well. And here I'm going to take a powder tool that's normally used for heat embossing. We're going to use this anti-static powder tool and we're going to put it all around our Magic Picture Changer, both on the inside and the outside of both of the pieces. And what this is going to do is it's going to reduce the friction between the paper pieces, helping them slide really, really easily. That we've added powder to both of our pieces, we can start to form this mechanism. So we're going to look at the inside of our pocket piece and we're going to take the tab and we're going to take that moving tab piece and insert it right into that slot. Now you'll see there's 4 little tabs here and 4 slots in the moving piece. You're going to feed each tab into each slot, just like that. And you'll see how well this is going to move now. It's so cool. Now, if you've never made a magic picture changer, make sure to check out our intro to magic picture changer video for even more detailed instructions, and we'll link it in the description below. The next thing we need to do is seal the pocket closed. And to do that, I'm making sure that my moving tab piece is centered between those 2 tracks exactly. And then now that it's nice and centered, we can peel up the liner paper on both of those pieces that we folded earlier, and then we can fold this whole pocket shut. And that's going to really secure it and start forming this mechanism. So you'll see I'm taking time, making sure everything lines up really nicely, and we're going to press down and secure it. And now you'll see that we can pull the tab and we're going to have a change between our buds and our flowers. Next, we're going to take this pull tab arrow piece that comes with the Magic Picture Changer, and it's got a little score line in the center. We'll be able to fold on that in a second. And then it also has that cool little arrow there. I'm coloring it in with some purple marker to match my paper I'm going to use later. We're going to add some tape runner all to the inside of that piece, and then we're going to fold it over top of our tab. What's great about this is it lets the recipient know what to do with the arrow, but it actually ends up forming a little stopper. So it stops the Magic Picture Changer in the exact right moment so that we have the perfect change from buds to flowers. We're adding a little liquid glue to the center there, and we're going to chop in our purple arrow. And now you can see this thing working. Look how fun and cool this is. So now it's time to start decorating our awesome interactive mechanism. So we're going to take out the Flower Market paper, and this is my absolute favorite paper from the whole collection. It's so pretty. We're going to die cut that with the Magic Picture Changer add-on piece. And we're also going to be die cutting a white frame too, and that's going to help really frame those flowers and help them stand out on the card. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Gotta Have Gingham rainbow, and there's this really, really pretty purple gingham, and I really love the purple and the blue together. So we're going to be mixing and matching these 2 paper collections. Next, we're going to add that Magic Picture Changer add-on to our interactive mechanism, and there's a special way to put the adhesive. You're going to go corner to corner in all 4 corners. So there you can see we're going corner to corner, and then we can put some tape on the top and the bottom, but not along those skinny sides because we don't want that to get in the way of the working mechanism. So just tape on the bottoms and tops and then corners to corners. And then we can layer that right on top, and that's going to frame our scene. We're also going to take that square frame there, die cut out of white cardstock, and layer that, and that's really going to highlight those gorgeous flowers. Then we're going to take the largest outside in stitch rectangle and we're going to die cut that Gotta Have Gingham purple gingham that's just so pretty. Hold that in place and run that through the die cut machine. And then right here is where I realized I made a mistake. I had wanted to stamp my sentiment on to this piece before I attached it. So I carefully peeled it off and then put it into my MISTI, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And what I love about the split sentiment is you can have a little bit of the sentiment at the top and a little bit of it at the bottom. And I feel like that really goes along with the whole magic picture change that we're doing here. So we're going to be stamping my favorite sentiment, which is where flowers bloom, so does hope. And I'm taking nice, easy care with doing that. And then now I'm just going to add a little more tape runner and layer it right back on. So I was really glad I was able to quickly pop that off and add my sentiment before layering it right back onto the Magic Picture Changer. We're going to create a standard size card base at 5.5 by 4.25, and then we can start to layer all of these pieces. So we're going to layer that piece that we cut with the largest outside in stitch rectangle, and that's going to give us this really nice 1/8 inch white border all the way around, which kind of echoes that little white frame that we have around our flowers. And then for the Magic Picture Changer mechanism, I'm going to add some foam squares to the back so that it has this nice pop off the background and so that it's nice and easy to grab that tab because we have a little height to be able to get your fingers underneath that tab. The mechanism is attached to the card. You can pull the tab and see it in action, which is so cute. And one thing I love to do is decorate that tab. So here I'm going to take the Tiny Spring Friends set, and it has these cute tiny little flowers that kind of go along with the whole theme of the card, and we're going to layer those flowers right onto that tab. Isn't that so cute? It just adds a little extra something. And now the card is all done, and look how fun this is. I just love that when you pull the tab, the flowers bloom, and it goes so beautifully with that sweet sentiment. And those cute little flowers that we decorated the tab with just add that little extra special touch. And this was so much fun to create, and I love that this stamp set has the before and after image, which makes making magic picture changers so quick and easy. And so here you can see as you pull, you get those gorgeous flowers. Now, next up, Shari is going to be showing us how to create a flippin' awesome card with the cute little flower pot in this set. It's so fun, it's so cute. So take it away, Shari.
I'm going to be creating a flippin' awesome card today using the garden before and after, so I'm using those flowers. I'm also using some mice from the Berry Special stamp set and then one mouse from You Autumn Know. So I've already colored and cut out my images. I'll just set those aside while I create my little panels for all my images to go on. So as I said, I'm making a flippin' awesome card. So I've got that large piece there. I've cut it from some white cardstock. I also have 4 white squares with that large white square. These are my panels. Then I used that stitch square, which can be matted onto these panels, and cut some Watercolor Wishes blue paper. This is going to be the sky on my little scenes. I also used that stitch rectangle to cut the same blue for the end panel, as well as a spiffy speckles green, and then I have 2 squares of spiffy speckles green that I'll cut my grass from. So I'm starting out cutting my grass using the Grassy border die. You can see I cut it from that rectangle that's going to go on my large panel that's at the end of the Flippin' Awesome. And then I only cut 2 of the smaller ones because I can cut a grass from the top and the bottom and save a little bit of paper. So you can see I've cut my 2 grasses for 2 of the panels, and then I can cut the other 2. So now I have 4. And I'm just going to layer these along the bottom of all of these blue panels that I cut out. And then I will also do the same with that large rectangle panel that will go at the end. So now all my panels are complete, and I can add some glue to the back of them and just put them on these larger panels so we have that nice white border around each of these squares. So I'll do that with all 4 of the squares, and now I can work on my Flippin' Awesome mechanism. So this large piece, it puts some score lines in it. I'm just going to fold along those score lines. This is how it's going to flip. And I'm just kind of working them a little bit. And then those 2 little tabs will wrap around to the back side. So for that big rectangle piece, that gets added to the last panel of the Flippin' Awesome. And it will pull out just like this. So those little tabs will wrap around it. Before I start to assemble any of that, I do want to make my little scenes. So in the garden before and afters, there are the 4 little pots. So we go from a pot to a plant to a bud and to a flower. So that is going to be the progression of my little scenes that I'm creating here. So my first little scene, my little mouse in his overalls are planting some seeds into the empty pot. There are some little seeds in this stamp set, so I'm just going to stamp those little seeds coming out of that seed packet into the pot. My second scene, we're going to water our plant. And I did color the overalls different in each one just to show the passage of time. Probably doesn't wear the same overalls every day. So I've got my little mouse, my watering can, and then the second pot has that little plant starting to grow. And then there's a stamp in the stamp set where you can stamp the water, and I'm just stamping that in some gray River Rock ink. For my fourth little scene, I've got the bud coming up out of the plant. And on this one, I'm just using the little guy eating a strawberry. He doesn't need to water it today. He's just checking on it while he has a little snack on some strawberries. And then for my fourth one, finally we have the flower. And that's where I'm using that little, what I call the yay mouse from You Autumn Know, because yay, the flower has bloomed. He obviously did a really good job taking care of this little plant, so this plant is happy. I'm going to also stamp that little happy face on that flower. And then for the last panel, that is where my sentiment is going to go. Now I am folding this over because that panel will get hidden slightly by the mechanism, so you don't want to use the edge of that stitch rectangle as you go by. You want to make sure you know how much is going to get tucked behind, because otherwise your sentiment's going to be hidden behind it. So I just have that there sort of as a placeholder, figure out where everything goes, make sure my sentiment is lined up. And then I'm just going to ink that up and stamp that down that says, "Hope your day blooms with happiness." Now I did cut 2 of these long pots with flowers, thinking I would put one on each side. That was before I remembered that part of this rectangle gets covered up. So I'm only actually going to use one of those, and then I'm going to add my little mouse in his overalls. He's back to check on his garden to see how his flowers are blooming. So now to assemble my pieces into the Flippin' Awesome, I'm putting a piece of double-sided tape on 3 of those panels, and I'll just trim off the excess. This will make sure that all those squares are very well adhered to this mechanism that's going to move. And then this one can go right on that last square. So that's why I only had to put the adhesive on 3 of the kind of bars there, because those are only adhered on the edge. This one can go right onto the cardstock. Just making sure those folds are nice and crisp, and then I can start to layer these squares one on top of the other. So I've started with the last one, and I'll work my way towards number 1, just peeling off that liner tape and making sure the leftmost edge of the square is lined up with the edge of the mechanism. And then there's how everything works. I did want to add a little bit to each of these to kind of fill in those squares a bit more, so I die cut some of those tiny little hearts from the Hearts and Stars with Skinny Tag die set, and I just am adding a little heart, a little love to each of these panels. I'm adding that last little heart to that panel, and then I die cut a few of the next size up to kind of just fill in a little bit on that last panel. Now for the card base, I've got a card base here that's cut to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'm going to use the largest of the outside in stitch rectangles to cut some of this pink Flower Market paper. Then I can layer that onto my card base, and I get this thin white border all the way around my pattern paper. This is going to give me a nice background to put my Flippin' Awesome on. And then I'm actually going to add another sentiment on the bottom. I've cut a little banner using some guava cardstock, and I'm adding the "Have a Happy Birthday" sentiment on the bottom. Before I adhere this to my card base, I do want to add that little pull tab, that decorative pull tab on the end. I just cut that from some mermaid cardstock. And then I've got some double-sided adhesive tape on those 2 little flaps. These are the only pieces that are going to have any adhesive and stick to the card base. So I'm adhering this and lining it up close to the top, and then I'm adding some foam squares to my sentiment banner. That's going to go underneath the Flippin' Awesome. And then here is that finished card. So when you pull the tab, it will go through all those little scenes that I created with the little mouse and his garden full of happy flowers. I just think this stamp set is really fun to pair with the little mice and make a really fun card. Today I'm making an encouragement card using the garden before and afters. I have these cute little sentiments from the set, but I did go find some speech bubbles from some other sets to use. So I have the one from year 12, the one from You Goat This, and the one from You Autumn Know. And I picked these 3 because they're different sizes and they fit these tiny little sentiments in this set perfectly. So I've already colored and cut out my images. I'm just going to set those aside. To set the scene for my little card, I am using the Stitch Hillside backdrop. I've cut that from some green Watercolor Wishes paper. I'm also going to use the largest stitched rectangle frame, cut from some craft cardstock to frame everything up. For the sky, I thought it would be fun to have a subtle pattern, which is something that this new Flower Market collection definitely has. So I thought this blue pattern paper with those really subtle flowers would be nice for the sky. I'm also using the sun and the smallest cloud from the Spring Showers die set to cut my sun and my clouds for the sky. I've cut down a piece of that blue pattern paper from Flower Market, and I'm just going to layer that against the top of my card base. The bottom is going to get covered up by those green hills, and then I can just layer my backdrop die cut over top. Now I'm making sure that I put the glue at the bottom and not the top of those hills so that I'm able to tuck my images behind the top of the hills. And then finally, I'm going to go ahead and put that craft frame over top. So I have created my little scene and I just need to fill it with all of my images. For the sentiment, I've cut a little sentiment banner from some sunflower cardstock, and I'm using the stamp from the Garden Before and After set that says "Totally Rooting for You." This is going to go along the bottom, and this goes really well with the little encouraging messages in the speech bubbles that you saw earlier. Now for my sun, I did want to give it some definition, so I'm going to do some inking on those sun rays. I'm making sure that I pull my ink from the inside out so I don't scrunch up all those sun rays, don't get it caught with my inking tool. And I'm using two different colors, so I started out with Wild Honey, and now I'm using Spiced Marmalade, just for the very, very tips of the sun. I went ahead and placed all my little images so I know the layout of these pieces, and then I can start to glue everything down. So I have my little planting beds full of vegetables. I'm just going to tuck those behind those hills, which is why I didn't want to put any adhesive at the top of the hills. I wanted to make sure that slot was still open. And I'm just gluing these directly to that background piece. Now for my little speech bubbles, I'm just going to add a really thin foam square so they are popped up just a little bit. These are some very encouraging vegetables. And then I'm also going to do the same for my little sentiment banner. So I'll just put some thin foam squares all across this sentiment banner. And this is going to go right along the bottom. I'm also going to use a foam square for that watering can. And then now I can add my elements to the sky. So I've got those two small clouds. Again, I'm using those thin foam squares for the clouds, so they have some dimension as well. And I like that they each overlap that craft frame just slightly. And then I'm going to glue my sun directly down, mostly because I don't want those rays, up where they can get caught when you send this to somebody. So I'm using my liquid glue, and the ones that overlap that cloud, I'm just going to tuck them behind. So you'll see I'll take my tweezers and just kind of pull them back and tuck them behind the cloud. And I did the same with that good luck speech bubble. And then finally, I wanted to add a couple little smiley faces to some of my vegetables. I'm not adding it to all of them. I'm definitely going to add it to the two that are popped up out of the bed that are saying encouraging sentiments. And then just to even it out, and because everything's better in threes, I added a third one. And then I also felt like that sun needed a face as well, so I pulled out the All the Clouds stamp set that has some fun smiles and added a little smiley face to my sun. And then this is my finished encouraging card. I just love those cute little veggies.
Both cards you made are so cute. This encouragement card just makes me smile, and the Flippin' Awesome is so sweet. I love the idea of this cute little scene kind of forming, and the sentiment at the end just makes me smile. And next up, we have some gorgeous cards by the design team, and Maureen blew me away with this magic picture changer. As you pull the tab, you can see the flowers bloom in her beautiful scene. I just love how she created this and did the magic picture changer upside down on her card. Elena was so creative and she did this awesome birthday card with this set and it says, "Way to grow, happy birthday to you." I just love it. This Flippin' Awesome card by Megan is so cute and sweet. I love how she incorporated in the strawberry. So this time, her whole plant that is growing is a strawberry plant, and that is so sweet and so much fun. Here I love how Elise shows us that you don't necessarily need to make an interactive card with this adorable set, and I just love how she created a frame with the flowers and the sentiment in the center. Tammy combined our adorable mice with this fun set to create this super sweet scene, and I love how she used Henry's ABCs for her sentiment. The giant words are a perfect match for these sets too. Those little flowers look so cute with that cute little mouse just overseeing his whole garden. Lynette used our wonderful window die to help set the scene, which is so sweet with the little mice watering the flower box outside the window. This card by Letitia is so beautiful, and I love how she has the giant happy spring right in the center. And then here, Mindy created a really awesome magic picture changer, and as you pull the tab, the flowers bloom, and I love that she included that awesome little watering can into her scene. It's so fun for the magic picture changer. And then here, Callie was inspired to create a magic picture changer too, and I love how she used the giant happy spring with it. So fun, so adorable, and as you pull the tab, you get that beautiful flower surprise. So we cannot wait to see what you guys create with Garden Before and After, so make sure to share it with us. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing day. Bye!